Welcome to Pharmaste NAPLEX Preparation Coach. Before we begin, let's just take a slow breath in and gently breathe out. Much better. You know, prescription calculation questions, they can look pretty crowded and intimidating, but honestly, every single detail has a job. Today, we're going to slow down, identify exactly what the question is asking, pull out just the useful information, and solve it, one step at a time. In this explainer, we'll be reviewing prescription-based pharmacy calculations, things like quantities to dispense, drops, grains, capsules, compounded liquids, inhalers, nasal sprays, injectable volumes, and drug dose conversions. Oh, and hey, real quick, if this lesson helps you out, please like, share, and subscribe so this explainer can reach more students preparing for the NAPLEX. Sharing this content might just help another student feel way more confident with their pharmacy calculations. All right, let's look at today's highly practical agenda. We're covering 5 crucial areas: dispensing and days supply, weight-based dosing, compounding calculations, devices and injectables, and finally, drug dose conversions. Let's jump right in. Section 1, dispensing and day supply. Here, we're tracking units to calculate exact patient needs. Okay, so in dispensing questions, identifying the exact correct volume and daily usage is literally your absolute key to success. Look at this setup. An antibiotic suspension is written for 1 teaspoonful 3 times a day for 10 days, but they only dispensed 3 ounces. The question is asking, how many days of therapy will this patient be short? Now, a super common trap here is looking at those ounces, looking at the days, and just immediately trying to subtract without converting them to a common unit first. You have to calculate the total required volume in milliliters before you subtract what was actually given out. Let's break this whole thing down systematically. Step 1. We find the total milliliters needed. We know 1 teaspoon is 5 milliliters. Multiply that by 3 doses a day and then by 10 days. That gives us a total requirement of 150 milliliters. Step 2. Figure out what was actually dispensed. We have 3 ounces. Multiply that by our standard 30 milliliters per ounce and we get 90 milliliters dispensed. Step 3. Find the shortage. We just subtract the 90 milliliters we have from the 150 milliliters we need, which leaves us exactly 60 milliliters short. Now, step 4, and pay attention here, because the question asks for days short, not milliliters short. We divide that 60 milliliters shortage by the daily requirement of 15 milliliters per day. Notice how we're systematically tracking our units here? Teaspoons to milliliters to ounces, keeping everything totally aligned before we even think about doing that final division. And doing that final division, 60 divided by 15, leaves us with exactly 4 days short. Honestly, this brilliantly illustrates why unit tracking stops you from picking a distractor answer on exam day. Think about it. If you had just stopped at 60, you might have chosen an answer that represented milliliters instead of the requested days. Always answer the specific question being asked.
Moving right along to Section 2, weight-based dosing, converting patient parameters safely.
Now, weight-based dosing really builds on that foundation of strict unit conversion we just talked about. Pediatric and specialized dosing relies heavily on getting these patient parameters right. Here's our scenario. A 55-pound child presents to the clinic and receives a 300 milligram dose of ibuprofen. We need to figure out exactly how many milligrams per kilogram the child received. You know, exam questions love to throw in extra details, maybe the patient's temperature or some random symptoms, but we have to be ruthlessly efficient. Extract only the useful info, completely ignore the surrounding clinical noise, and focus purely on the weight and the dose.
So your absolute first move here is to always convert your pounds to kilograms. We take that 55 pounds divided by 2.2, which cleanly gives us 25 kilograms. Easy enough, right? Next, we take the total dose administered, which was 300 milligrams, and divide it by our newly calculated weight of 25 kilograms. Oh, and here's a quick pro tip from our foundational rules. If your kilogram conversion ever results in a super long decimal, do not round it early. Leave those long decimals right there in your calculator until the very final step so you avoid any rounding errors.
Doing the math, 300 divided by 25 lands us cleanly on 12 milligrams per kilogram. See, keeping your units organized just makes the math so straightforward. This step-by-step approach guarantees that even when you're sweating under exam pressure, you're moving logically from raw patient parameters right to the final standardized dose. All right, Section 3, compounding calculations. Determining active drug per dose in complex mixtures. Compounding calculations definitely require an eagle eye to separate the active ingredients from the inactive bases. Let's read this prescription. We've got an active drug extract of 1.5 grams and a filler base of 2.5 grams. The SIG codes say MFT caps, no, 30, which simply means mix and make 30 capsules, and the patient takes 1 capsule 4 times a day. What we need to figure out is how many milligrams of active drug will be in just 1 single capsule.
The real secret sauce here is converting to the requested unit, milligrams, before you even think about dividing by the total number of capsules. Step 1. Establish that we need milligrams per capsule. Step 2. Take our 1.5 grams of active drug and multiply by 1,000 to get 1,500 milligrams. Step 3. Divide that 1,500 milligrams by the 30 total capsules. And did you catch what we completely ignored? The 2.5 gram weight of the filler base. Why? Because it isn't the active drug. Fillers are literally just there to take up space. They do not factor into the active dose calculation at all.
So we take 1,500 divided by 30, and boom, we get 50. But before you hit submit, always read the question one last time to double check you've solved for the correct unit. In this case, milligrams per capsule. We're perfectly at 50. If you had accidentally used grams instead of milligrams, or if you had mistakenly factored in that filler base, your answer would be completely, totally off.
Section 4 already. Devices and injectables, solving for exact volumes and total device output.
Specialized physical formats like injectables really love to test your ability to convert between very small metric units. Check this out. An ampule contains 400 micrograms of medication per 2 milliliters. The question is, how many milliliters must a nurse administer to provide a target dose of 0.1 milligrams? This is such a classic exam setup. The drug is supplied in micrograms, but the requested dose is in milligrams, basically forcing you to bridge that gap before you can calculate the volume.
To solve this one, you actually have 2 fantastic options. First things first, convert your supply into milligrams. So, 400 micrograms is 0.4 milligrams. Now, whether you prefer the proportion method on the left, where you set 0.4 milligrams over 2 milliliters equal to 0.1 milligrams over X milliliters, or the dimensional analysis method on the right, it doesn't matter. Both are completely foolproof, as long as your numerators and denominators match units perfectly. Just pick the method that makes your brain the happiest, write it out clearly on your scratch pad, and follow the math.
Either way you slice it, both methods will confidently guide you to a final administrable volume of 0.5 milliliters. If you set up a proportion, 0.1 times 2 divided by 0.4 equals 0.5. If you use dimensional analysis, the units cleanly cancel out, leaving you with exactly 0.5 ml. Trust your process and trust your unit alignment.
Last section, Section 5, drug dose conversions, using equivalencies to switch medications safely. For our final intellectual hurdle today, we're looking at converting from one drug to another. And yes, this requires a bit of essential memorization. You absolutely must memorize standard NAPLEX conversion ratios, like the systemic steroid equivalencies, because the exam is definitely not going to provide these numbers for you. You need to know, cold, that 5 milligrams of prednisone is therapeutically equivalent to 0.75 milligrams of dexamethasone. This is just foundational knowledge. Let's put that memorized knowledge right to the test. A pharmacist is switching a patient from prednisone, 40 milligrams orally daily, to an equivalent dose of oral dexamethasone given once daily. What is the equivalent daily dose? So, using our newly memorized ratio, let's figure out the exact dexamethasone equivalent for this specific patient who's currently taking 40 milligrams of prednisone.
Here we go. Step 1. Set up that known equivalency ratio. We know 5 milligrams prednisone equals 0.75 milligrams dexamethasone. Step 2. Create a proportion. Let's put prednisone on top and dexamethasone on the bottom. So 5 milligrams prednisone over 0.75 milligrams dexamethasone equals 40 milligrams prednisone over X milligrams dexamethasone. Step 3. Cross-multiply and solve for X. We multiply 40 by 0.75 and then divide by 5. By strictly aligning the drug names and the units straight across the equation, you eliminate absolutely any chance of flipping the ratio upside down.
And when you solve that proportion, it reveals the patient needs exactly 6 milligrams of dexamethasone daily. Let's check it. 40 times 0.75 is 30. 30 divided by 5 is 6. It's a clean, logical process that relies entirely on bringing your memorized equivalency to the table and just applying some basic algebra.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to internalize this idea. Notice that the numerators match each other and the denominators match each other. Actually, it's bigger than that. Mastering this mathematical framework isn't just some academic exercise to pass a test. Strictly matching your units is the ultimate shield protecting your future patients from very real dosing errors. The NAPLEX tests these concepts rigorously because a calculation error out there in practice can have profound consequences. So as you continue your NAPLEX prep and review these foundational skills, I want to leave you with this to chew on. When you face a crowded, super intimidating calculation question tomorrow, what is the very first unit you will search for to anchor your calculation? Finding that starting point is the absolute key to unraveling even the most complex pharmacy math. Keep practicing those proportions, keep writing out your units, and you will absolutely conquer these questions. Happy studying!